Hello, everybody. Thanks for stopping in. My name is Matt. I play games as the Cutter. This is the Thursday show, just scrapping. Thanks everyone for stopping in live. Thanks everyone for catching this on replay. This is the Thursday show where we have an interpersonal conversation. If you would like to do chat participation, banter, etc., challenges, that's Wednesday night. We did announce last night, in fact, that next week here in this program, we are going to have Sam Bax Hall, and he is going to help us sort of finish off the season here. He's going to be my season finale. And this show is going to take some time off. The holidays will come back in January for 10 more. We did 10 straight. Can you believe that, guys? 10 straight, 10 weeks. Or will be at that point. The Wednesday show will continue weekly. We will not be taking any breaks, so that will continue. That leads me to tonight. Tonight we have a sit down with Ashton, Sabel, and Chris PolitesC. You guys know these two. They are extremely active in the community, in dodgeball. Chris is apparently the pariah for scapegoating every possible blame. We're going to give him a voice tonight to answer some of these allegations. We're going to talk about the challenge, a huge event that they run together. And we're going to talk about how that came together, some of the challenges that go with it, no pun intended. Guys, how the hell are you? Thank you for joining me. What's going on tonight?
Just some challenge competition, actually.
So
We're doing great.
it's amazing to me that you guys can even get a few minutes away from what seems like the type of event that takes up every waking minute. And we will get into that. I've got lots of questions, of course, for you guys. But before we do, let's kind of talk with you guys a little bit. Tell me and tell my audience a bit about you, where you're at, and what you guys do.
Well, we're both in a really exciting career field, the career field of insurance. We met each other on the job, and I do IT work in an insurance company, and I'll let her tell you about what she does.
I work in claims department. I actually went from being a nurse to working in insurance to kind of still be able to use my medical, background. I'm a lead in the claims department at Blue Cross, actually. And yeah, I mean, it's not a very glamorous job, but
Okay,
Don't let her fool you, though.
on the healthcare side
yeah.
of claims. Incidentally, I come from claims as well. I had many years with, 7 years with Travelers Insurance and several with one of the AAA brands. We won't bore people
Yep.
with it, but I very much know where you guys are coming from. That's awesome
Yep.
to hear. And you guys have been together for some time. How long?
Just a couple of years. We're
Yeah.
just a little over 2 years right now.
Yeah.
Okay, nice. Now, one of the things I love about this model and having on in particular Star Realms couples, if you will, is I love to kind of sort of dig into the dynamic. Are you guys competitive with each other in general? Is Star Realms just one small piece of that pie?
Yes, yes, very competitive. So much so that so he's been obviously in the Star Realms community longer than I have. He introduced me. It started me just watching him play games, and then I would start, oh, you're gonna buy that card, right? Because you need it for this or whatever. And eventually, I downloaded the app, and I think I might have let him help me on like 2 or 3 games a little bit, and then I would brush him off if he even tried to help me because I'm so competitive that I won't even let him like help me with other games.
It's to the point, Matt, where if she might even ask me, like, what would you do in this tough spot here? I don't even want to give my opinion because if it goes the wrong way, I'm like, I'm staying away from that one.
Now, do you guys also play other games as well together?
Not a whole lot. I mean, mostly, we have 4 children between the 2 of us. So, if we do play a game, usually it's a 4-year-old friendly game. So not a whole lot of competition there because, you got to let the littles win. But we do have a game shop here, game bar.
Yeah, Steelbound.
And before COVID, we would go down there on Wednesdays and hang out with a couple of friends and do all sorts of different board games.
Fun fact, any game we play, if there's a way Ashton can even sacrifice her own gameplay to make sure I don't win, that's her #1 goal. So yeah, you could say we're a little competitive.
Brian and Stephanie know all about
Brian
that.
And Stephanie have experienced that firsthand.
Now, I want to expand on this, but I do want to pretend that we're on the Twitch platform. So we're going to go ahead and load up some Star Realms. I am going to let you guys decide which of you will play me sort of at any one time. I'm not going to sort of switch back and forth, make you guys do that. That'll be sort of boring for the viewers as well. So one of you, please go ahead and send a challenge at any time and in any format, and we'll kind of play. And if we happen to talk about it, our play, great. If we happen to just kind of get lost in our conversation, that's great too.
All right. That's kind of crazy one.
All right. We'll just let the viewers kind of look at that. I'm not going to call that out. We will, of course, accept it. Now, just some brief history. Most of my guests I have met in person. I have not really met you guys. I don't know you very well. This will be fun for me to get to know you. I of course, Chris, you and I have played off and on for a good amount of time. But being that I was a bit less active in terms of community, I sort of come back here in the last, 6-8 months, a little less than that, to find you guys are incredibly active just in the community at large. I didn't realize you guys had I know, Chris, you're coaching dodgeball now. Ashton, you've been also extremely active in dodgeball. That's great to hear. When did you guys sort of find the community, and how and when and why did you guys choose to become this active and contribute this much to the group?
So I can start off by answering that. One of our friends that we would go to, that gaming bar, Spielbound, that I was talking about, or she was mentioning, brought Star Realms, because he had seen it on tabletop, to work. One day during lunch, we started playing Star Realms, and it reminded me of Magic the Gathering. I used to play Magic the Gathering back in the day, and I loved it. And so I kicked his butt on the first game I played, so I thought I was a pro. And I decided to immediately jump into ranked play, and I got stomped 3 games in a row. So I realized that there was something I was missing, and it wasn't just random buy something. And so I started reading up on strategy, and I ran into the Star Realms Reddit, and Homer Jr. actually saw me on the Reddit page asking for pointers, and he sent me a link to the community and to some strategy websites, and I read up on all the Mega Holland articles and the Benjatron wheel of, Scrappy's life gain beats damage, that thing.
I really didn't want to have to jump in there and remind you.
Fallacy of factions, was it?
Yeah, and so that got me into it. And then once I started winning, it became addictive. And then, and then Ashton took a liking to it too. I'm assuming to just be involved in things that I really enjoyed, and then she got addicted.
I did, like really bad. Like, I remember one day playing, and I don't know if he was gone or if he just came into the room, and I was like, hey, I'm playing this guy Darwin, and I'm gonna beat him. And he's like, oh, he's the creator of the game. I was like, oh, I didn't know. That's really cool. But that was like fairly early on. You know, I didn't know a whole lot. I ended up joining the Rogues, and you know, meeting a lot of them, and you know, they got me really into, you know, into it, into you know, playing with everybody, and figuring out strategies, and you know, how to combat different strategies. So
Yeah, that approachability, it's almost a trick. You know, you can win some of your earliest games here in Star Realms in the deck building genre, and it makes it almost seem easy, but then you get in and find out it's deep, and there's a lot there. Uh, so not only do you guys end up getting involved very heavily community wise, you know, I have a little questionnaire that I send my guests, and you guys had a stack of credentials, both of you, for high level play in some events that I, again, being away, I'm not even entirely aware of. Do you guys want to toot your horn a little bit? Maybe you know, I can read from this email, but I'd rather hear you guys tell me maybe a story about one or two of them.
And start off with your big one.
in EC?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that was my first like win of anything. You know, I think I had played a season of dodgeball at that point. And I signed up to do endurance challenge, and I failed miserably, I think, in my first couple of endurance challenges. And almost didn't even sign up the season, you know, the challenge that I ended up winning. And I had a couple fairly decent losses in there too, but I had a really good run, and it came down to me and Lux and Zwivix, and it was a round robin for, I don't know, like 4 or 5 rounds between the 3 of us. And finally, I think we both beat Lux, and it was me and Zwivix, and I think we went back and forth like 3 or 4 times before, like, we were both down to like 1 and 2 endurance left. It was insane. And I ended up finally winning, and I may have jumped up and down a little bit, because that was the first big win on anything in the community. But yeah, so endurance, back-to-back dodgeball champions. I was
one of which you were a captain.
One of which I was a captain. Oh, where's my little trophy? He's over there. I made little trophies for my team. I was really hoping to have back-to-back championships, but Brian's team, Zwivix, got revenge for endurance challenge. So, but yeah, I made little trophies for my team.
That is awesome. And, you know, back-to-back, in the words dodgeball, that is no joke. You know, I come in and discover that is one serious competition.
It is.
And I can't believe what they've managed to put together. The team formats have always been a huge favorite within the group, but this one is just so, it seems it has an air of professional, you know, handling to it, especially with that draft. That was so much fun.
Yeah.
Blew me away. I had no idea that draft was coming, and I had to catch it on replay, but just mouth dropped the whole time. So that kind of gets us to your competition. You know, I'll be honest, Ashton, when you contacted me for a reason we won't discuss, I didn't even realize, unfortunately, who you were. I had to look in a little bit, and I realized, wow, a lot going on here. And come to find out, you guys run one of the sort of most broad, I'd imagine, as much as for the players, and that's the little bit that I experienced. We'll talk about that in a second. I did not get to experience much of the challenge, but as time consuming as it was during the first, you know, the only wave that I experienced, I cannot imagine the time consuming it must be for you guys. You know, I understood there to be 40 people in there. That means you were in a tremendous number of chats. Certainly, you have other chats going on a daily basis. In let's just call one chat group one where one thing gets said every day. How many chat groups are you in right now?
Well, what do we have? 12, 11 teams left right now. So we're in the 11 team chats plus the main chat, plus we call our elimination the jungle. So we have a chat for the jungle. And then, there may or may not be a few alliances here and there. So we're in, I'd say, probably
upwards of 20.
20.
Or so.
Now that's interesting, and I don't want to ask questions out of order, but when alliances form, you are officially in on those chats as well.
Yep.
Yep.
They have to be run through you effectively. That's
Yep.
very interesting.
Well,
So
very nice.
getting it out of the way, I took part, and in the first wave, we were to play 19 games of Star Realms, of which I lost 14. And unfortunately, that cost my teammate Dusto, who had a perfectly fine performance in that round. We got tossed before we ever got to see this house or any sort of jungle, so I know very little. But tell me, so you kind of started in on the basic premise here. We've got teams. They're paired into interesting reasons. I know that you guys asked some really excellent questions in setting up this event, and you guys had some very strange reasons to pair people. Can you tell me about that process a little bit?
Yeah, so we asked everybody in the questionnaire, who the top 5 people that you feel the most comfortable playing against, like who do you think you can beat all the time, and on the opposite side of that, who do you think are your top 5 competitors? And I think, of course, a lot of people named, a lot of the higher level players in their top competitors. But then we had, for instance, you and Dusto. The two of you both listed each other as top competitors. I think you guys had even commented, both of you, on a post that I had made in the community group, asking like who is your rival? Who do you always know it's going to be a good game against? You don't go into it going, oh man, they're going to beat the crap out of me, or I'm going to stomp them. So we tried to pair people. Obviously, you can't pair everybody based on, that similarity. But as much as possible, we tried to pair people, based on feeling that they were each other's biggest competitors. Or in some cases, we paired people with the people that they felt they beat all the time.
And then also, if you haven't watched much of the actual show, The Challenge, one of the seasons, which is what we based this on, is called Rivals. So we also took into account which is very minimal beef in the community, but any maybe slight disagreements or anything, even if in just jest, if in fun, we took that into consideration and paired people that liked to give each other crap a lot. So like
Brian and Emily.
Polo, yeah, that was a good one for that. So we tried to make it fun like that too.
Now, you kind of bring up that aspect, and again, I didn't really get to see it firsthand. I do hear, a little bit. You use words like alliances, and I understand that sometimes people will perceive alliances, and I guess what we're kind of eventually getting to is people end up choosing effectively who are either put into this jungle or outright eliminated. Is that what I'm understanding?
Yeah. So the bottom team, each competition automatically goes into the jungle, and then we have what's called the power duo. So the team that wins whatever competition that is that week, they determine what other team goes in to the jungle to fight their way. back into the house.
And it's that decision making that can sometimes cause some people to react negatively. And you guys obviously understand. Here's a community that does jive pretty well. For the most part, everyone does get along, and I can see it, and again, it's kind of hard for me to understand. To me, this is the Star Realms tournament. I feel on the outside looking in like I can separate, and I'm not going to take any sort of salt with me if something goes wrong. But you know, this is a big competition, and people, especially once they've been in it and they develop a rapport with their teammate, I imagine that do you guys see it? I mean, obviously you're in these chats from It's Clear, and what goes down? How do you embrace it? Do you play it up? Do you talk it down?
Go ahead.
Yeah, so we usually just try to diffuse the situation with humor and laughter, and just kind of remind everybody that it's, nothing's personal. But
There's been some major salt.
We do see some salt occasionally, which is normal. Like you said, once people have been in it for a longer period of time, they start to get emotionally invested. This is one of those tournaments that the longer you're in it, the closer you get to the end. I feel like the more weight it carries with you. So that definitely adds to potential for that. But I think for the most part, it's minimal, and people brush it off.
And I would imagine that there are challenges both between teammates and also for you guys. This would be, as we alluded to earlier, a tremendous task to take on chat-wise, even if it was just people here in our own time zones. But this is international. How has that been?
Well, funny you say that. Unfortunately, we just had to make a ruling today involving basically timing issues. We were kind of running too far behind. We do take all that into consideration, and it has been kind of tough to juggle that, but
I think for the most part, everybody's done really well. One of the things that we asked at the very beginning, I think we pride ourselves a lot. I mean, we've had a lot of positive feedback on it as well, on having a timeline for our tournament, right? When competitions are going to start, when they're supposed to end, when the elimination challenges are. When we sent everybody the questionnaire, we asked them, we laid it out for them, the timelines, and, can you abide by this? Because if you can't complete the competition, by the end of the day, by the end of the scheduled time, you're going to be the team that is automatically sent into the jungle.
Because of our rigorous
timeline.
Right.
So, I think everybody knows that going in, and does it suck? Yes. It does suck to have to do that. That's the first time that we've had to make that ruling. But I think even with the time zones, I was impressed that on the culling, that first competition, we gave everybody 2 weeks because we thought 19 games with the time challenges is a lot. And you guys had it completed before the Thursday of that first week.
Yeah.
So everybody's been really, really good about it.
That's faster than quickfire tournament speeds. So we were impressed.
Well, I will say, yeah, I mean, and again, I only played half of the group. I had 19 opponents, but they seemed like some no joke players. I mean, that was a lot of the real top guys and gals, and yeah, people that generally kind of stay on it. So yeah, give me just one example of what these competitions entail.
What's your favorite competition?
What's my favorite one?
Yeah, what's been your favorite one so far?
Not poker. So I guess I'll talk about that. The current competition has been Star Realms Poker, where we gave everyone a set amount of money, and they were in a format, and they were supposed to bet a certain amount of their chips to if they thought they could win a matchup. And so the matchups would be paired up randomly, and then they'd have to call or fold to match their opponent they got matched up with bet. And then the first person out, first team out would be auto-eliminated, and then the second team out would be getting a one-way trip to the jungle, and then the last team standing would be the power duo. So the reason I said not poker is my favorite is because just we're running out of time to complete it. So and it's been a lot of watching the chats back and forth and checking on games and such. So there's probably been much funner comp.
Trivia.
She loves trivia.
Trivia is, okay, so for those who have watched the show, the MTV show, The Challenge, there is always, in every season, a trivia competition. And it's funny because it's always TJ Lavin. He's the host of the show. That's my nickname in the chats. It's his favorite competition of every season. And it just so happens to also be one of my all-time favorite things is trivia. So that was a ton of fun. Everybody got, we called it Trivia Strike. Everybody got 3 strikes. You were asked a trivia question. If you got your question correct, then you were able to assign a strike to any other player. If you got it wrong, then you got a strike yourself. Once you had 3, then you were eliminated. And it was really fun to see kind of the strategy that people took some people wanted to get the least blood amount on their hands as possible, so they just gave a strike to the next person in line. Some people would see that one person had a strike and, pile them on there. So I think that was probably my favorite tournament or my favorite competition so far.
Yeah. The good thing about the events is they vary. Some have to deal with star realms and star realm skill. Some have to do with a puzzle or random trivia or anything. So anyone has a shot at any given challenge.
Now, I personally have not seen the show, and I feel like maybe I should have at least checked out a few episodes, if not for the competition, in prep for tonight. So it sounds like you guys are able to even theme some of the challenges, some of the Star Realms challenges, kind of around things that do happen in the show. Mm-hmm. And that's great. And I mean, I have to be honest, I don't even know, is this show still actively on today?
It is. It is, actually. They just ended their 35th season.
Oh my God. Okay. See, that's the thing. I knew of this show, but I feel like I knew of this show in the mid-2000s.
Yeah, it used to be the Real World and Road Rules Challenge.
Yeah.
Okay. When the Real World and the Road Rules were a thing. But yeah, it's still going strong.
Now, I mean, this is, again, it's a huge project. I mean, do one or both of you come from running this type, I don't want to say this type, events or just big types of tournaments in other contexts?
So I used to be an event coordinator with a nonprofit down in Georgia. So I have a lot of experience running events, not necessarily a tournament like this, but I do have experience, forming events and, getting a nice skeleton, getting the bones of things put together and trying to keep things running seamlessly.
And I do want to give props to our behind-the-scenes man, Derek Dweller.
Dakaran. Yep.
He is the IT guy behind the scenes who helps us with all our visuals for all of our competitions. And basically, he helps set everything up so we can knock it down.
Yep, he ran a group for Wheel of Fortune for us.
Yeah.
It was the most group-facing thing that he's done was running one of our groups for Wheel of Fortune. But yeah, he all our pretty little pictures that we have to post our challenges, our competitions with, he's created all of those for us. He's done an amazing job, and we're happy to have him on board.
Well, love hearing about it. Love seeing that events of this scale exist, and we have seen for a while other. I'm suddenly at 7. What's going on here, Chris?
7? Oh, yeah.
Um,
I'm having her distract you, is my ploy.
It's usually my job to distract him. I will frequently get messages from a particular rogue who I shall not name, telling me that she's playing him and that I need to distract him for her.
yeah, this is suddenly rough. I don't think I'm going to survive probably another turn.
I don't know, you're getting
Chris,
some bases.
you're entirely scrapped out.
Oh.
All right, all right. So before we get to a story about it, I want to talk about some things, Chris.
Okay. I know where this is going.
Now he has something to hashtag blame me for.
In addition to some general star realms, bad luck like bottom decking, bad shuffles, 3-3-3 starts. I've heard you're at fault for all of those things, but apparently you're also charged with breaking cranky zaps and maybe the internet at large, delaying the production and Kickstarter fulfillment of several White Wizard projects, cancellation of all of our favorite gaming conventions this year, including Origins.
Yeah, that was a big one.
I was very surprised because I feel like I would have heard about this, but you outright sabotaged the Mega Holland podcast from coming out for 27 straight weeks.
Yeah.
Do you want to address any of those allegations at all?
Well, I'll let her tell you how it all started, but it has to do with Cranky Zap. Go ahead.
So Hang Tough was always getting broken, and it just so happened to always be after PolitesC had gotten in there. So I threw a hashtag blame PolitesC in the Hang Tough chat, and it took off.
Yeah. So, and then right around that time, the Glide apps were being mass produced for almost every tournament at that point, and they would always start off with a couple of bugs here or there, and it would be a cross tournament. It would be, some other tournament.
Something he wasn't even involved in.
I'm not even in that chat. And it's like, blame PolitesC. And pretty much everybody has jumped on board with the blame PolitesC except for my good friend Tirzel. I'm not even sure how to pronounce it. But he's staying strong. He's the only one for the blame Sabel, hashtag blame Sabel. But it's not really catching on.
No.
It's not as catchy.
No. He tries.
I'm hearing, Chris, that you're at fault for both causing and denying climate change. The Chicago fire.
Yeah.
And this one's very specific.
That's pretty bad.
I hear you had a part in the production of the 1987 film Leonard Part 6 starring Bill Cosby.
That's so funny.
One
of my passwords is Leonard Part 6.
You and Bill didn't discuss dating. No, we won't go there. No. All of that, obviously, what I heard sort of between the lines is there were maybe some shenanigans in another reality type competition that might also have people blaming you for some things. Does that stay?
That's just a bunch of haters there.
Does that stay in Vegas or?
No, it's ringing some bells. No, the problem is I played too good, or I guess you could say too bad.
Overplayed.
So yeah, in Big Brother, one of the keys is backstab people, make behind the scenes deals, all kinds of stuff. And so I had a lot of agreements and deals with a lot of players, and I basically did what I thought was like the best job ever. But when it came down to voting time, everyone kind of got to compare notes that I was a big doo-doo head. So I got skunked 7-0. So that also probably did not help things.
It helped Sean.
Yeah, it helped Bahamut 619 win Big Brother. But there's a good crew of second place finishers in Big Brother, so I joined that illustrious group.
And I do hear that Eric did a very nice job with that as well.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I mean, that experience, weirdly, so I got responses on my thread, but weirdly, nobody did ever send me anything on a direct message with any specific stories. We talked a little bit ago in your event, like you can see maybe salt forming. Do you feel like anyone took anything with them outside of that competition, or do you feel like it was pretty well contained?
I think maybe for like a week or two after the competition, there was still maybe some folks that maybe held something in for a little bit. But I would think that, with time, everything goes away. Like, for example, when I played Big Brother my first season, I was a little bit butthurt at Mike Pearman.
Sure.
Because he backstabbed me so many times, and I trusted him so much.
I was going to backstab him. I had alliances with other people, and I was going to backstab him, but he would get so over, like, at home, I could just see it in his face that he was really upset at the thought of me backstabbing him.
Yeah,
so I just could never go through with it.
So, but yeah, and then by the time I voted for him to win, who to win Big Brother that first season I was on, the butthurt had receded, and I ended up voting for Mike to win anyway. So I think that most people don't carry it with them too long.
I think most people understand that it's a game, and while you get upset, upon being eliminated, especially if it's by somebody that you thought you had an alliance with, I think for the most part, I mean, we're not playing for real money here, right? It's not the real Big Brother. You're not playing for however much money it is. So it's in the end, it's fun, and I think most everybody gets that.
Yeah, and I think for a lot of people, it is kind of the journey. One of the things that I now appreciate, more so in dodgeball, since I'm, still alive in it, is that sort of long-term getting to know your team, the ups and downs, getting to know the format and everything that sort of comes along with that. I think back to a time when we were kind of just getting tournaments up and running. We assumed certain things, that people didn't want to be spending more than a certain amount of time playing, that we didn't want to infringe too much on people's work time or family time. There were all these sort of things we were careful with, and now the evolution of tournaments, it is so broad. Things are happening at all times. You're making sometimes a commitment for several months.
Yeah.
And it's just the experience when it's framed around either a TV show, something in pop culture, or some other way that someone has decided to design. There's so many now. Did you guys ever anticipate we'd get here?
Yeah, I don't know. When I very first started, like almost 4 years ago, I guess, on the site, the only thing I jumped in on was Sunday casuals or something like that. So, which was just that 1 or 2 week tournament. And sorry, cats are fighting. But yeah, we've evolved so much in tournaments, and honestly, I like the shorter ones because we're very competitive, and we like to find out if we won or how we did sooner. But also the really long-term ones really have a separate level of investment, I think.
I have a really hard time saying no to tournaments, though. So I'm in too many. And sometimes I don't remember which games are for which tournament.
Yeah, no, that is hard, and it used that's always been the case once tournaments sort of took off. But now, if you accidentally sign up for too many, and you're in all of these constant chats, it really you're not going to necessarily forget what's going on because you've got the constant reminders. But it can become a lot, no doubt.
Yeah.
So Chris,
Panic when I get challenges. 'Cause I don't know where they're from.
Yeah, I always gotta, before I accept them, I'm always like, what tournament is this for?
so you had said that one of the draws initially when you found Star Realms was that it reminded you some of the aspects of Magic. Did you have a long time in Magic, or did you play competitively at all?
I played in some tournaments at my local game shop. I started around when I was a kid with like the Ice Age set, which is I think the fourth one or something to come out. I played Magic the Gathering. I played WWE Raw Deal. I played, which are all strategic deck builders. What else? I don't know. Oh, it's with Goku. Dragon Ball Z. I played Dragon Ball Z, which was a great game. I never got into Pokemon, which a lot of people did, but yeah, all those type of games were a very big draw to me. So this is just kind of a natural fit.
And Ashton, did you do card games prior to Star Realms?
No, I played WoW, and that was about it.
Yeah, I played WoW.
Aside from like the normal family board games that you would play, I never got into any of the like deck building games. I never really played any. This was kind of my first experience with any games like this.
Okay, we're gonna try to see if we can not get ran over this game.
Oh, you've got all the damage.
Let's take a look and see what Chris is doing this time. So the good news is Chris really hasn't quite been able to utilize his scrap yet. So we still have some time for that to come together. I am sitting on most of my starters as well. But you are correct. I am running into some damage here. So let's do that.
Some damage.
It's so funny. While doing this stream thing, my brain will just play. It'll make decisions based on what it's used to doing. But if I don't kind of check it every now and again, it will do silly things like scrap me down to like 3 cards or something. I've done that on the stream.
You're just like on autopilot.
Exactly. That whole autopilot thing intrigues me. We've talked about it here on the stream. Some of my guests have talked about even doing exercises for their autopilot specifically. Do you guys do mostly async? Do you guys do? I guess let me ask you this. I mean, I don't catch you guys in the regular ranked queue all that often. Are you guys constantly playing, or is it mostly limited now to competitive events?
It is for me. With my recent promotion at work, I'm so busy with that and I'm in so many tournaments that I don't get onto ranked as much as I probably should. Like, I've stalled out on ranked. I actually stopped playing ranked for a while I was in Big Brother with him, on not the last season, but the one before, because I was, I think in the first...
She was leveling up too fast, and she didn't want people to see that.
I didn't want my fellow competitors in Big Brother to see how fast I was leveling up. So I kind of stopped leveling, and then I just kind of stopped completely. Not intentionally, I should probably get back into doing some ranked games, but yeah.
I'm a little bit confused because it doesn't occur to me to check anyone's level, really. But
there were some competitions where Eric would have us send a screenshot of your user profile because he wanted to make sure that you were only playing certain, a certain number of games or whatever. So yeah, I just knew like if I had to send too many of those, people would be like, wait, wasn't she like
you were just
level 18?
2 days ago.
Level 24?
Yeah, I haven't played ranked in a hot minute. I actually just queued up a couple of ranked games today or yesterday for the first time in a long time. I used to just level like crazy, which is why whenever you said you had leveled like, was it 3 levels in 3 weeks or something like that? That level was, I know that's insane because right now when I queue up ranked games, it's usually like a month per level for me. Maybe I'm just not doing as many, but yeah.
So yeah, the week that I lost 14 of my 19 challenge games, I was in the middle of a real heater. I was sort of learning and inhaling the missions as a way to play the game, not as just a strategy to help win a race. But yeah, I was on a real heater. I think I won 69 or 70% of my games that week, and I was playing several hundred games a week. So
yeah, you had to.
Somehow I lose all those non-missions games. But I did. I went up about 250 net ranked wins in 5 weeks. And that was just a tremendous, one of my strongest pushes ever. And it was fun. But no, I do know from hitting you in the queue. I mean, I remember one time you busted off 3 or 4 straight on me, and a couple were close and a couple were not. And I remember messaging saying, hey man, I'm noticing these beatings.
Yeah, I remember, believe it or not, that made me feel really good because I was like, oh, I just got acknowledged by the cutter that I was kicking his butt. So yeah.
Good game.
Yeah. Not so good on my end.
I have one top 100 player who has finally beat me one time. But I used to run into him in ranked. And then I think that's the only time I ever ran into him because I didn't really know who he was in the community or anything. But I would run into him in ranked, and it was always I'm going to win this game. Just because of who it was. I knew that I always beat him. It made me feel good when I made a comment about, and he had made a post that he was losing tons of games, that week or whatever. And I was like, oh, well, I'm on a big losing streak too. So send me a challenge and you'll probably get a win. And he was like, no, I'm pretty sure I know I don't have a winning record against you. And that made me feel good because I was like, I don't even and we really, we've never talked, at all or anything. And, yeah. It made me feel good.
it is nice. There are players who that objectively might win more games than you do, but there's something about your preferred deck build and their preferred deck build and just their pace and tempo that yours just happens to win head to head, statistically more often. And that's a really nice feeling. Obviously, I mean, it doesn't sound like someone that you want to sort of call out. On the flip side of that, though, are there any players that you guys want to in particular sort of credit as being long-term rivals or just people you've had great series with over time?
I've looked it up in the past. I want to say Agamon and I believe we've got a ton of games, and I think we're right at 50%. Silent Al, the way we play, I don't know, when we match up, he always kicks my butt. And he's a great player. Lifetime, I've got a little bit better percentage than him, but he just always kicks my butt no matter what. And then I don't know. I'd have to look up, but I know me and Agamon had a really 50-50 with hundreds and hundreds of games. So.
For me, I think, I don't like playing Al either. And Juan, I always get irritated if I see that I have to play Juan in anything, because I don't think I've ever beat him. I actually, aside from, Chris and learning from him, for me, my big person was Jim. I was never able to beat him. And then we were on a dodgeball team together, and I loved that dodgeball team, by the way. That was my first dodgeball season win. Our team had great chemistry. It was wonderful. And Jim kind of adopted me, and, he was my unofficial mentor. And by the time, we kind of concluded that little mentorship, I had beat him in more games than he had beat me. So I credit him a lot for kind of helping me, hone my skills and perfecting some of my. Oh, hold on 1 second.
Sure.
All right, AirPods just died. Sorry.
So I don't know that I necessarily appreciated quite the impact of being on something like a dodgeball team with Jim when we found that out, and having now gone through half a season with a team, I can certainly see that affected people much, much harder than I even realized. But yeah. So tell me, what are some things outside of gaming that you guys enjoy? Oh, wait a minute. I think we lost audio. I don't think I can hear you guys. Well, let me try calling the Skype back. Well, guys, we will try to work through whatever issues we are dealing with here. It sounds like their AirPods had died. So we will see if that's a simple fix, if that's something they can take care of. I know until they put the AirPods in, I was getting an echo coming out of their speaker. Well, guys, while we try to get this resolved, we'll remind you that next week we're going to have Sam Bax Hall. I think we're getting a call back here. All right, we might be back.
We are back.
Sorry,
No worries.
it froze up. It disconnected the AirPods, and then I think it froze up everything because it didn't know what to do.
Okay, so we had good luck with the AirPods up until now. Without them, we're going to do our best because those are gone now. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Well, they're charging.
If we get an echo from me, so be it. We for the most part have audio worked out on this show, and everything is going pretty well. We'll see what happens here and hope for the best. So my question was, what are some things that you guys enjoy outside of gaming?
Video games. I'm a big RPG game player. We like staying active. We go for walks all the time. Probably less so now because of the weather.
Yeah, I don't like the cold, so I don't think that's gonna start stopping.
We're big into tattoos. Ashton got me really into tattoos. I had like 3, and now I've got a ton, and she's got like 40. So
I don't think it's quite that many. But
yeah.
I am, well, haven't done one in a while, but I'm a marathon runner.
Oh, wow.
So I actually ran the local full marathon while 8 months pregnant with my son.
Get out.
So yeah, yeah. So I think eventually, maybe not next year, but the year after, I think we're gonna aim towards getting back into one of those.
Oh, you love the
I'm a
plays.
yeah, I'm a theater nerd. I did theater as in school. Yeah, it's plugged in the wall over there. I did theater in school. I was on a lot of plays. And then actually did it for the local, like the local community playhouse for a while as well. So we have season passes to our local Orpheum Theater, and I've recently gotten him into going to shows with me.
Nice. So marathon running is something I just can't even really fathom.
Either
I
Matt.
sort of hate, I don't want to say hate. I dislike the act of running. You know, and I can trick myself into hiking, I can trick myself into disc golfing, you know, because I enjoy those activities. Like disc golfing, I'll trick myself into believing it's like gaming.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's kind of how I get my exercise most of the summer. But my sister as well, recently, and by recently I mean in the last 3 to 4 years,
Mhm.
started running. And it completely baffles me. And she too, she says she hates every minute of it, but she does it anyway.
Yeah.
How do you find that focus, and do you enjoy it or do you power through it?
So I think a lot of runners will tell you they hate running. Um, it's a weird dynamic, I think. Um, it's very just like you clear your mind, and I think it's a focus thing for a lot of marathon runners. It's a focus thing. It's seeing something through to the end, and um, you have all sorts of, you have 5Ks, you have, half marathons, full marathons, um, all sorts of different levels of them. But I think for me, I do enjoy it. I say I hate it a lot as well. I think it's just kind of a mental, where you are mentally at that moment. I think honestly, right now, it's been a few years. It's been a little over 2 years since I really, stopped running.
I'm the
So
anti-running.
if I
Blame PolitesC.
yes, I think if I went out and I tried to do, a marathon right now, I would hate it. But it's something that when you are a runner, even if you hate it, even if you're miserable, you push through it. And it gives you a really, I think, a sense of pride, to have been able to do it. It's not easy. I mean, I don't think anybody really loves running, but
Somebody's got to be chasing me.
Yeah, that's
You know
that's
those
kind of where I'm at.
couch to 5K apps? I'm the couch. I'm like the actual couch.
No, that's fascinating. It's, again, something I would love to be able to say I could do, but I just don't feel like I have anywhere near the endurance.
I think you learn a lot about yourself when you start running. Um, I mean, I ran in high school. But I not anything super long distance like that. I did track. Um, and then going into the military, you run 2 miles for like your PT test, and that's pretty much the only running you do really. Um, but I don't know. I started doing marathons when I was in the military. Actually, is what got me started on it. I think I was at the top of my game, fitness wise. Like I was in the best shape that I had been in my whole life, and it was something that I kind of like. I figured, why not?
Kept it rolling.
Yeah.
So do you think do you think you'd be able to do it without the discipline that the military installed in that regard?
Oh yeah, even after getting out of the military, I did continue doing it, and that was after. I've had a couple pretty bad accidents. I've got a fairly large scar actually here from a busted collarbone, and was actually in a pretty decent car accident 5 years ago, and ran a marathon a year and a half after that car accident. So it's something that at this point right now, after 2 years of not doing it at all, I'd need to work up to it a little bit. But I think once you have that discipline, you have that discipline.
Maybe that's a goal for next year. Maybe I'll try to work my way up.
Start with a 5K.
Yeah. We actually have ran a 5K together.
He's done a couple 5Ks with me.
I mean, I walked part of it, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do. I normally, for the first few weeks here, I was disc golfing before the show, kind of centering myself. But like, it is starting to turn, the weather.
Mm-hmm.
And soon we're going to lose, an hour as well. So disc golfing after work is kind of out. And my gym still here at the condo is closed, and I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to do to get in some exercise. And I'm not the kind of guy that can just start running down the road.
Well, we actually kind of installed almost like a home gym in our basement. We've got a weight bench, we've got a heavy bag for kickboxing.
Oh wow!
We've got a little elliptical and some dumbbells. So we're able to at least try to get some activity in that way. But
during the cold season.
Yeah, I didn't do any golfing though. You keep talking about disc golf, and I'm usually a golfer, but my golf league was canceled this year from COVID, and never got around to golfing this year. I'm going to be terrible next year.
So that sounds like something you're pretty into then, Chris. You've golfed for some time?
Yeah, probably like 8 years in my works intramural golf league, and it's something I really enjoy. I'm pretty fun. I'm actually the captain of my team, so probably, which just means I get to keep track of all the stuff on spreadsheets. So I'm the secretary basically. Yeah, I really love golfing, and Ashton's shown an interest, saying she wants me to take her golfing, but she's a dirty left-handed player, so we actually have to buy her clubs, and we haven't got around to it, and so. But that's on the docket.
I would like someday to get into golf. I did briefly way back when I lived in Wisconsin. In fact, when I was first job out of college trying to sell life insurance.
Oh, I've done that.
Awful. I sold one, beyond a couple of small term policies, I sold one good sort of whole life policy, and it was contingent that I go golfing with him that day.
That was your first time?
That was the only way he said he was going to buy his policy if I went golfing with him that day. So my general agent said, get your ass out there and play some golf. And I used Colin's wife's clubs, pink bag and all, meant for probably a person about 6 inches shorter than me. But I did go and golf with him several times, and I enjoyed it. Then I moved to Vegas, and things got very expensive if you wanted to pursue golfing. And since then, I've really not looked into it here in Colorado. I feel like it's the kind of thing that will someday be very enjoyable, but I dive and addict into things really hard, and I feel like golf is something that could get expensive really fast.
Oh yeah.
Oh, 100%. And I don't know about Ashton, but I totally relate. Like, I'll go into these like phases to where I'm like, I want to do one thing, and then I just dive all the way in. And yeah, if you are that type of person, golf is, you're gonna drop some money on golf.
Yep.
Ashton, do you golf as well?
I've only ever, putt-putt. That's my only golfing experience. And like going with people, but driving the cart. So I've never actually golfed.
Well, Chris, let's continue here acting like we're on Twitch and let's get through some of these turns. And
Oh, sorry.
no, it's cool. It's cool. Yeah, no. This is, again, and this is one of the pros of this format. I'm happy that we kind of get lost in conversation. But to maintain the facade and the reason that we're on Twitch, we'll keep that going. Ashton, do you still want to get any games in here during the stream? If so, go ahead and send a challenge.
Okay.
Now, Chris, is that the kind of thing that really is just kind of stress relief, that's relaxation, meditation for you, or is golf something that you would like to get better and perhaps compete in with, locally? And
I don't know if it would be anything I'd want to try to really compete in because I feel like that ship has sailed. But it is really relaxing. It is really fun. Even when you're having a bad day, all it takes is one good shot to turn it around, and that's what they say. It keeps you coming back. And like she even talked about, it's fun just drinking some beer and driving the golf cart even if you're not having a good day. But I definitely think in retirement age when you don't have much to do, like that's the stereotype. Gonna go play a lot of golf and hang out with my grandkids type of thing. It really is. It really is something that you're gonna do. So I don't know, I would recommend you getting into it a little bit.
at some point, I probably will. We do, of course, have here things like Top Golf and other driving ranges, premium experience type driving ranges that my friends do enjoy getting to here. And yeah, I can totally relate. Golf is one of those things where you can kind of be having a crap day, but you hit that one really nice shot and suddenly you're re-engaged for the day, it feels like.
Yeah, 100%.
And it's people say it, and until you experience, you're like, wow, that really is what happens.
Yeah, I've been having a complete terrible day before, and then it was like the last hole on 18, and from like 150 yards out, you hit your 7-iron, and it went right in the cup, and I ended up with an eagle on that hole, which is 200 par, and you celebrate, you high five, and then like it was almost like all the other bad shots, the rest of the day didn't matter.
So you had a legit eagle?
A legit eagle.
I don't know that I've ever known anyone. I mean, again, I've only golfed a little bit, and I've got friends that do it. But a legit eagle. I mean, I know how. I guess I don't want to say how rare. I don't want to compare disc golf to regular golf, but I just understand scoring wise how rare.
Yeah.
So
it went in from over 150 yards out. So it was 90% luck, but still.
Well, whenever people say stuff like that, I'm like, well, you wanted to do specifically what happened.
Yeah, that's true.
So claim that maybe some luck was on your side, but I got to give you credit on that. That's amazing.
Yeah, that was my best thing ever in golf.
I got a hole-in-one at a putt-putt course once when I was like, I don't know, 12.
You got a hole-in-one against me when we went to
Oh yeah, up in the Dells.
Up in the Wisconsin Dells, yeah. Selling ourselves short.
So did we even address at the beginning, where are you guys? It's funny for me to hear you say Wisconsin Dells, because that is, for me growing up, that's sort of my neck of the woods. I grew up outside of Milwaukee, and I know the Dells very well.
My family on my dad's side is in Milwaukee, actually. We are up there. Well, I used to try to get up there a couple times a year. It's been a little bit less recently, but we're in Omaha, Nebraska.
So, yeah, we drive pretty much anywhere within like a 12-hour radius. We'll just drive it.
Yeah, so the Dells is about 7 hours.
Yeah, the Dells is great. Anyone that doesn't know, Wisconsin Dells is a little sort of mini Las Vegas within Wisconsin. There are some Indian casinos. I assume those are still there. And there are several water parks, most of which have indoor components because it's in Wisconsin. But
Yep.
I don't know whether Noah's Ark is still sort of the
It
biggest
is.
and best, but it was the one that we wanted to go to as a kid.
Hmm.
And weirdly now, without having any kids, the thought of public pools and water parks in general just grosses me out to no end. Are you guys
That's
able to still
funny.
enjoy those things having kids, or has that thought entered your mind as well?
Um, it's not, I mean, it is what it is.
We went there without our kids. We just took me and her vacation. So I guess we got past the grossing out part.
The last time I was at Noah's Ark, I remember very specifically because it was, well,
Don't do it, Newberg.
I say very specifically, but I forget if it was junior year or senior year of high school. After, I think it was between junior and senior. And by that point, for the family to go, I was not quite as interested in the water slides or the wave pool. The lazy river was where it was at. I spent all summer working, and I just wanted to take a day and relax. And I slept for 2 to 3 hours in the lazy river and woke up with hundreds, hundreds of blisters.
Mm.
I had
Hmm.
just sunburned myself into not being able to wear a shirt for 3 days.
Oh my goodness.
I have never had that terrible of an experience, thank goodness.
Now, I've heard some comedians say some not nice things about Omaha. What's living in Omaha like?
I mean, there's not much, but there's not much to talk bad about either, right? I don't know. Okay, here's the knock on Omaha. The top two best attractions are the Omaha Henry Dorley Zoo, which is supposed to be the best zoo in the country, even better than San Francisco Zoo. And the number two attraction in Omaha is Offutt Air Force Base. So there's a big drop off.
Not much to do here.
I have heard very good things about the zoo.
It's really nice.
I had guests out a few months ago, also from Nebraska. I had the Yokums down in Lincoln, and I took them here to the Cheyenne Mountain Zoo down in Colorado Springs, and I hold it in, oh, good game.
Good game.
Hold it in incredibly high regard, but they did make a point to say that the Omaha Zoo is no joke, and I would like to get there at some point.
It's really nice. They're constantly doing upgrades and they're actually in the middle of a big renovation right now to make it more of like a open concept. Less cages, less glass, and more like what it would really be like. So like the African safari, like actually is just like it's just got like ropes and dividers up to keep you from getting in there, and then like a little like ditch so that people don't get any bright ideas.
Like Harambe.
But then it's like you're in the Sahara. And the animals, obviously not all the animals, because I gotta keep some of them separate, but they're just all intermingled and walking around, and it's really they put a lot of money into it, and they do a lot for it.
I wonder if zoos are kind of a thing of the past.
I don't know.
I really like going to the zoo, and yet the thought of like a new zoo opening feels kind of weird these days. I don't know.
Yeah. I get that.
Yeah. That's true. I mean, when you think about it, you're probably like, I don't want animals to be locked up in cages their whole life. But in the same time, if they're rescued from things or they're nursed back to health, you gotta hope that it's a positive thing for the animal.
So Chris did get the best of our series. We're gonna lick our wounds and accept that we went 1-2. So Ashton and I, who have a significantly less, history of playing, I feel like we have played, but I don't feel like we've played a lot.
No, like maybe once or twice.
He has you know how you said certain people's way they play the game just kind of lines up that way?
Mm-hmm.
I think she plays very similar to me. She's kind of a pretty aggressive player.
I love Frontiers. I'm really excited when Frontiers came out. Yeah, I sent you Frontiers events and Frontiers promos because, like I said, I love Frontiers and I want to get some more practice in it. So I have not played the all Frontiers format actually at all before. So this is my first time playing this format, but I thought it'd be fun.
So very interesting. We had some Frontiers love a couple episodes ago as well. DG3 expressed that he is a big
Yeah.
fan of Frontiers. And interestingly, I don't feel like until I've had these conversations, I've heard people express much either way about Frontiers. There seemed to be a good amount of reaction after Colony Wars came out. And there's, of course, always been reactions when new card types have come out that have sort of reshaped how this game works and the pace. But Frontiers, I don't know that there was a huge immediate impression. I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, but I'm starting to hear some real appreciation for it. What are some things that you like specifically about Frontiers?
I mean, like you said, I think my and I'm only telling everybody what my playing style is because I don't have a chance of back to back to back dodgeball now. Thank you, Zwivix. But I do have a very generally aggressive like style. I generally lean towards buying blobs like a lot. And so I think Frontiers is just really like, I think Frontiers is a very aggro format in and of itself. So I just jumped onto it and was real like when it first came out, I challenged him in it a lot and I think the reason I like it so much, if I'm telling you the truth, is probably because that's when I got most of my wins versus him. Was when Frontiers came out. So I don't know.
I like Frontiers just because it has some really cool bomb cards.
It does.
Like
Manos.
Federation Battleship is like one of my favorite cards. And I think you saw a lot of that big reaction when Colony Wars came out is because the change from vanilla to Colony Wars was so drastic in pace of play and maybe less of a reaction to Frontiers because there's been so many sets out that everybody was mixing and mashing. It didn't really seem to change the pace all too as drastic as Colony Wars seemed to. But yeah, I love the big dog cards.
Yeah, I agree. I think the sort of the experience of the new mechanics in Colony Wars was so much more in your face when they were coming right into your hand and then into play, and it felt so swingy. Where Frontiers, it seems like the shift in pace has more to do with an abundance of cheap resource producers that give you three. Seems like there's more of those than any other set. And so it may not necessarily be big start like, giant bomb in the hand on turn one that maybe your gambits are giving. It's more of a boosted mid game, it feels like.
Yeah, 100%. Like, you don't play Frontiers. You can't play Frontiers just going cheap aggro. Like, I feel like you have to get a little bit of trade to make sure you get some of the big bombs.
Which surprisingly, we haven't really seen any come up yet in this game. No.
And I think maybe that's what took a little bit to figure out. I felt like in core set, I kind of felt like I was looking to get 2 to 3 resource producers, and in Colony Wars, I was looking to get 1 to 2. I think even though Frontiers is not new, I'm still sort of struggling with that. Like if I get 2 that produce 3, I can probably move on to Scrappin damage. But I don't know. Some of them are kind of sneaky because they'll, like I'm going to miss the name of that blob that you can choose to destroy a base with or give you 3. Like it has some
Oh.
Worm hatchling.
it has some application in the late game.
Yeah.
I might
It
even
can still end up giving you 6 damage.
yeah. So I find myself picking it up even later, maybe when I've already decided I'm done with resource, but I'm like, well, okay, that is damage and base kill too.
Nope.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of cards, like even the what's on your row here? What's it called?
Hang on, I just got rid of
Long hauler. So the long hauler that's on your row, even that card has some later game implications because it can top deck a game-changing base. So you might tend to buy that a little bit later than you normally would. Just basic trade.
I'm certainly doing that in missions because a lot of times it's just what
Yep.
you need to set up that final trick.
Yeah. That's an area where I need to get better at missions. Which I saw your video with Brian, so that was helpful.
What video?
He made a video with the cutter about how to play with missions better.
Oh, I should watch that one.
Yeah, it's in the academy.
So what we did was we took a clip of
Daryl's stuff.
my conversation with Brian here on this program. I took about a 6-minute clip of it and sort of set it as the basis for starting a primer discussion of playing devoted missions. And yeah, that's in the Star Realms Battle Academy. That is Daryl Gessler's project. We have a good discussion there on several different topics, but yeah, this particular missions thread is starting to get some people to look at it a little bit differently. And you can sort of catch that whole discussion there with me and Brian Machin on, I think that was episode 5.
Yeah. Yeah, there's things that I've learned from Brian, particularly about missions that I never even thought of. And I like to pride myself on thinking about all the angles, but it didn't even occur to me that, he'll discard bases knowing because like his other card, got bottom decked, and if he puts it out, it's going to get destroyed and it's going to miss a shuffle, and he's not going to be able to pair those for his missions. So he'll discard a base instead of playing it just to see it get destroyed and miss a shuffle to get a better chance to pair up for his mission. So little things like that you don't think of.
I hate missions.
I know. I'm not a fan, but I feel like I like them in one aspect, but in another aspect, if I'm making choices that wouldn't help me regularly win the game just for the missions, it feels wrong sometimes.
Yeah, the diversity in the experience of this game now is so ranging, and that's what's nice. What Brian helped me sort of figure out is that there are other ways to look at this game, and after so many thousand, having that option to just fully flip in all of your decisions, all of your evaluations, all of your setting up of your tricks, it's all focused around something completely different than what I had done for the other 30,000 games.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's not going to be for everybody. It's not something that you can certainly just pound through on autopilot. You have to think about it completely different. But now, having so many different ways to play the game, it's great that some people can play it never having to worry about a single mission if they want.
Yeah, it's true. But sometimes that's why being an aggro player can help in missions, because you just say, I'm not even going to worry about these missions, and maybe I'll kill them before they get there.
Well, sometimes you get really crappy missions that, you just don't, that red base never comes up, or, so.
A small part of me wants to address that, but I have so beaten missions to death on this show that I'm gonna just say I understand, Ashton. I understand.
You're gonna beat me here.
You're going to let that scrub beat you? Just kidding.
Yeah, no, listen. Especially now seeing, again, I knew I could see how active you guys were. I got the list. of the accomplishments, though, and I can tell you guys take the competitive aspect as seriously as you do the community aspect. Do you guys mind sharing like what your percentages are about? You don't not necessarily lifetime. What you think you're playing at about right now?
I can look. I'm just under 50 right now.
I'm around 62 and a half lifetime, but all I've been playing is challenges. So that is about 54%. So basically, if I don't play random queue, it's my lifetime is slowly going down. But I don't know. There's been a lot of weeks like you said you were doing 70% weeks on your grinding weeks. If I play the regular queue, 70% weeks were pretty good.
I think my win percentage total overall would be better if I had played like the actual physical cards with him for my first like 100 games versus him. So I blame you for my win percentage.
Nice PolitesC.
Imagine that, for my win percentage being where it is. So, just saying.
I did take a quick peek in the chat during the quick break there, and Chris, you were getting some blame for the pods dying, of course.
Oh yeah.
Yep, that was him.
Yeah.
All him.
Oh, you're gonna lose.
I'm gonna lose.
So that was sort of the thing that woke me up. You know, I am actually long term a 57.5% player over the course of, you know, over 30,000 games. So to sort of take a little journey into trying to play missions like it had been shown that we can, and then turn that into, oh God, about 1,500 games, I feel like, during that time.
Good gosh.
You know, at significantly above my normal. It just demonstrated to me that there really is something there that could be explored. And now that I'm kind of back to just, I play some missions, I play some race. Good game, Ashton, by the way.
It was closer than I expected it to be.
That is a really close game.
Do we want to run one more?
Sure. Do you want me to send it?
Sure. So it did seem like someone indicated in one of the comments you guys had hoped to get to Origins this year. Is that what I understood?
Yep, we had some big plans.
He already had the rooms booked and everything bought.
Yeah.
We take lots of trips.
I'm the planner.
But she's the planner. She's like, hey, we could go here this weekend and it's only $187. Let's go. All I have to do is sign on the dotted line.
So obviously that would have been a lot of fun. Have you guys gotten to any of the conventions before that the Star Realms has taken place? Have you guys gotten to meet really any of the community in person?
We've met a few, not at any conventions. So his family is in Indiana and Illinois.
Yep.
So we actually met, was Carrie our first one?
I think Carrie was our first.
So we went to see, and that was
It was in Central
Illinois.
Yeah.
So we went to see your mom's in Illinois, right?
Yeah.
We went to see his mom, and on the way home, we met at a game shop with Carrie, MTG girl.
Oh, nice.
And had a little, 3-person game going. So we got to meet
Ashton
her.
won.
I won that one. And then going to see his dad on the way back out, we met with Bruiser 13.
No,
Mike Perriman.
Bruiser's the one that lives right next to my mom. In
your
the
mom?
town next
Oh,
door.
okay.
Yeah.
So both times was going to see your mom.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, Bruiser 13, Mike Perriman, he lives 30 minutes away from where I grew up. So that we met him, and right after our Big Brother season, and
Yep.
we talked through that. That was super fun. And then the other two,
I played that. I won that game too.
Yeah, we won that.
That multi-person game.
Yeah, and then I believe
Brian and Steph.
Brian and Steph were the only other ones we met when we went down to Florida recently.
Yes, and when he talked about how I will sacrifice my own name to make sure that he doesn't win, I could tell that the game was not going to go my way. I wasn't going to end up winning it, but I could set it up to where Brian beat Chris. And so I sacrificed myself by not killing Brian's bases and attacking Chris instead, so that Brian could kill me and then finish Chris off.
I don't know whether a group game with you guys and the Machen sounds awesome or awful.
We were pretty intoxicated too, so somewhere along
Skittles got stolen.
Somewhere along the lines, they stole my Skittles. It was a mess.
I've played a little bit of alcohol-induced Star Realms with Brian as well. And
yeah, I mean, it's a blast.
It cost me $50.
The better question is who hasn't.
You guys play for money?
We did. We had a cash match last year at Origins.
Oh man, I want to get in on that.
I'm glad I didn't play him for money.
With an audience, it was a lot of fun. He took it.
Wow, I would have paid to see that.
He does tell the story on his episode, and one of our favorite highlights there is he did at least concede third turn, second game to a Colossus that I purchased. That was kind of fun. Long before it was in the app, of course. So that was a lot of fun. I agreed to play that missions with him, not knowing he was playing missions and doing what he was doing at that time. And it probably cost me. I forget how the third game was won, but it's very possible it was with missions.
Probably, yeah. Yeah. I don't. If missions and Brian, I don't.
Yeah.
I'm not in for those like at all.
So obviously we'll hope for 2021. Do you guys think you'll be able to pull it together and make a second effort if it happens, or are we still at this point it's just too cloudy to even see beyond the horizon at this point?
I'm all in.
Oh, we're going.
Yep.
Unless they lock it down, we're going. Yeah, we've got a ton of people now that we've been heavily invested into the community. We want to meet everybody, so we're excited.
And Origins is the one that makes the most sense for you guys as well?
Yeah, like I said, I've got family in Indianapolis area, so it's just a hop, skip, and a jump from there. We'll make a pit stop. Plus, that's the big one, right?
Well, it depends who you ask.
That seems to be the one a lot of people go to.
For the person who has not gotten to a ton of these, it seems like White Wizard has decided that it will be sort of their showcase event. Some of the things that they might have done at a White Wizard game fair in the past is going to happen at Origins instead. However, for those looking for, say, game companies doing their brand new releases, unveiling games, first opportunity to get new board games, things like that, I found out that Origins really isn't the big one for that. That's more of a Gen Con type thing. And then for my friend Ed, who's more into video games and getting the latest, sitting in on panels, for him, the big one is going to be PAX.
Okay. Well, maybe we can go to multiple.
So yeah, it just kind of depends on what you're looking for.
Maybe we'll go to Origins and Gen Con.
They're both.
Because you know what? I never win the Gen Can't tournament, so I might as well go to Gen Con.
I'm so envious of those that I did. I saw at Origins and they're like, hey, we'll see you at Gen Con, right? And I'm like, oh man, I can get to like one of these a year just realistically with work and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know. We've got a pretty sweet deal with we're both still working from home. So therefore we don't have to burn a lot of vacation days for, sick kid or anything like that. So we both got a pretty decent pool building up,
Yep.
and we both have matching parental schedules. So when we have kids, we have all our kids, and then when we don't have kids, we don't have any kids. So we know when we're free, and we can schedule things out. So it's we got a pretty good flexibility.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it sounds like the kids are still pretty young yet, or are any of them starting to look at games in a way that makes you go, hey, we might have a gamer?
Oh, the older ones are gamers.
Well, they're video gamers, but we have a few like family board games we play with the kids, and actually this year for Christmas, each one of them is getting a new board game. And I think the older two are probably at an age, they're both 7 now. So they're probably getting to a point where we can, we could introduce them to, like Star Realms, and, they would be able to grasp and understand it.
Yeah. Yeah, the 2 oldest are 7, and then the 2 youngest, one of hers just turned 5, but they're basically the same age, 5 and 4. And people think that our 2 youngest ones are twins, because they look so much alike, but they're not.
Nope.
Yeah, 7. I think you mentioned Terraziel earlier. I think he posted today that he just had taught his, who I think is 7.
6, I think he said.
Oh,
Maybe.
6.
Yeah, I think I saw that post, yeah.
Yep.
I think 6 is the earliest I've heard people trying, and I think what I've heard people say successfully, 8's pretty good. Love seeing it. I feel like as we've developed this awesome community, can you imagine a time where this community is going to be children of
Yeah.
of the original community members? And that sounds so weird to say, but it could happen. I mean, not necessarily a whole generation from now, but just they're going to start sneaking. They're going to start working their way in, right? Because some of them are starting to be high school and college age.
We're going to be getting regularly beat by 12-year-olds before you know it.
True.
And I thought that's really what was going to happen to begin with. I didn't realize our group was going to be so adult. But yeah, I think that even if they don't end up being kids, it may be that some of our own kids are going to end up being the ones that beat us.
Yep.
Yeah.
I know my son is a very analytical child. He analyzes things like overly sometimes. So I think Star Realms would probably be a good game for him.
That would be a good stress reliever.
He has ADHD. So he if he has one thing to really focus on, so I think it could
And
be a
he's
good game for
naturally
him.
very competitive too.
He really is.
Well, we are coming down to the end game here.
You beat me here again.
Oh man. So close.
He's gonna have
Unless
all
you
his.
whiff.
He's
Pull
gonna
a
have
silent
all
out
his
whiff.
reds again.
It's okay, so I'll just tell you straight out. I'm 1 short as it is.
But you get to draw a card.
I do get to draw a card, and I want to see what's sitting in your draw pile.
Lots of damage.
You certainly are capable of finding 4 damage. I guess I have to go for the draw. And we found it.
Oh, dirty.
Good
Just so you know, I had the 4 damage in my hand, and I had my Frontier Hawk, so I was gonna draw something.
That would have been great if you left her at 1 and she got you with exact damage.
Good games. Good games, guys.
Yeah, they were.
Well, that's going to bring us almost to time. Are there any other topics or things that are important to you guys that maybe we want to talk about? Any final thoughts before we sort of start wrapping up at all?
Next time we go to Vegas, can we meet up and play a game of Star Realms?
I would love to. I'm in Denver. but
Colorado.
Oh, I thought you were in Vegas.
No,
No,
he was
I
talking
get it.
about being in Vegas.
No, what happened is I think I sent you guys my Skype address, which has a Matt in Vegas, and that is confusing because it's
Oh.
all
No.
over. It's all over my Xbox stuff and everything too.
No.
Guys, if you guys ever make it to Denver, I would love to meet up with you guys. Yeah, you know,
yeah.
I don't want to call it a weird open community invite, but I have had several people out, both that I've met up with, and I've had some people even stay with me. And this community is one where it's tight enough when you do meet people at conventions or you sit down and have a conversation like this, it becomes very quickly, irrationally, a way that you say, "Hey, these people are like me, and I wanna get to know them better." So absolutely. And if we happen to someday work out a trip to Vegas all together, that's great too. Let's
I'm down. We got to invite the Makins.
Yeah, we were actually in Denver last year.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, you're within our 12-hour drive window.
That's
I mean,
true.
it's only 8 hours. It's like nothing for us.
yeah, that's very, very doable. But yeah, I think that's where we're going to wrap it. And I very much want to thank you guys for coming on and talking about everything that we did, the challenge. I want to thank you for all your contributions that you guys make to the community and for taking all the blame that may or may not be deserved on you, Chris.
It's totally deserved.
All deserved.
And really, I think until next week, guys, I want to remind everyone that we're going to have Sam Back's Hall. I didn't say in the intro that is going to be at a different time, though. We're going to respect that Sam is accommodating our day here on Thursday, but we are going to accommodate his time schedule, which means we're not starting until 9 o'clock his time. We're not starting until 12 midnight Eastern. So this is going to be a late show. I realize that for some people that means you're going to catch it in replay. I do apologize for the inconvenience, but it's way worth it. And of course, you guys can always catch the Wednesday night show. That is when we will do challenges, interaction with chat, and banter. That's going to wrap it, guys. Thank you, Ashton and Chris. Everyone else,
Thank you.
Thanks.
we'll see you next week.